Hi, everyone. My name is Lakethia Anderson. I am from Nashville. I run Lakethia Nicole PR. It's just a freelance agency that's just me and contractors that I have. We do public relations and communication strategy here in Nashville. So, as far as titles that I hold, publicist, community engagement coordinator, campaign manager, and communication strategist is some of the titles that I hold here in Nashville. So the work that I do under Lakethia Nicole PR is with small businesses, not just here in Nashville, but since we're in Nashville, we'll talk about that. So I work with small businesses, whether they are a nonprofit or a restaurant, a fashion brand, even service-based companies. We do, far as public relations, we do communication strategy. So helping small businesses understand what their messaging is and the message that they want to put out to their stakeholders, to the media, also to the public. But then also we do media relations, and media relations is what most people know about public relations. And for that, it's just getting your brand press, whether that's on television, digital publications, radio, podcasts. And then lastly, community engagement. That's one of my favorites. I know people think that media relations is my favorite, but community engagement is how are you engaging with the community that you want to sell to or you want to service. So we may work with, a nonprofit that is trying to expand the demographic that they're trying to work with here in Nashville. We look at events they're going to be at, and we, situate our the organizations that we work with into those events, whether that's doing tables, providing informational sessions, or attending their events as well. So, what originally called me to do this work? Actually, before I even decided I was going to work with small businesses, I was just a fashion student who got to go to New York Fashion Week. And I loved what I saw, and I wanted to know how to do the background stuff. Like, how are people talking to the press and planning these events? So, I came home and I started researching on ways to work with people behind, like brands behind the scenes. And I came across communications and marketing and public relations. And I actually just hit up a brand in Atlanta and was like, hey, can I do your brand for like $150 a month? She literally paid me $150 a month. And as I started to grow in that, I started to learn that like small businesses, especially because I work with majority of Black owned businesses, we don't come with the finances nor the education about marketing and public relations and communications and how important it is to the growth of your brand. So as I started to grow, started to connect with more businesses and seeing that there was really a need. They had these amazing businesses, but no one knew they were there. They weren't able to be on a national platform, and I really wanted to help them. So that's how I got started. Just reaching out to them, teaching about what public relations is, teaching them about the importance of spreading the awareness of their brand, and what getting press or getting on television or being a part of a podcast or speaking at an event, what that could really do to a business. So that's how I got started working with small businesses. So have there been any major things that happened that has had me take a break or give up? Definitely. I think finances is the big one, especially as you work with small businesses and Black owned businesses who just don't have the funding, the grant money, the loan money to do the work that I do. I did take a break. I actually took a break in 2023. I couldn't tell if I didn't love PR anymore or if I was just burnt out from the lack of pay, from the lack of recognition, and then also just the brands that I was working with who didn't understand the importance. Thanks to social media, I think a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs and business owners, and they see the glamour side of it, the fun side of it, but when you really get down to it, a lot of people didn't understand the importance of having a strong team around them. And so I did take a break. I wanted to just kind of see, I ventured into property management and leasing, just kind of doing something totally different than my background. But I wanted to see if I was really called to it, or if I was just burnt out, or if I was just coming to the end of my time with that career. I did miss it. I missed it like crazy. I miss the creative side of public relations and telling stories, which is my favorite thing. Um, so I've came back, and I've just slowly just been diving back into what that is. But I think for a lot of people, a lot of people that I speak with in this field, we are underpaid. And I think that one of the most important things I'm realizing is really speaking up and saying, hey, listen, this is how much you have to pay me. I know what it feels to pay your bills late. I know what it feels to not have anything because you want to discount your prices. But what I've learned for that is that you suffer and you can't do your best work. If I have to take on 10 clients at a time just to make ends meet, I'm not giving any client the best of me and the best of my work. And so I've had to stop that, take a moment to myself and say, hey, this is what I'm worth. This is what I'm charging. I'm only taking a limited number of clients because I want the best for Black brands, and just run with that. And ever since then, I've been feeling a lot better. My finances are better, and I can actually show up in my work without the stress that comes with underserving myself. Some of the major lessons that I've learned over the years doing this work is one, be curious. When I started out, I'm completely self-taught. So yeah, I took one like media writing class in college. I maybe took some type of communication class, but other than that, I was a fashion design major. And I've been able from that to like where I am right now. My clients have been on CNN. My clients have been in Essence Magazine, Washington Post, New York Live. But it's because I stay curious. You know, I think that when you stay curious about creating and storytelling, you're able to grow, you're able to step outside of the box and not limit yourself. So that was one of the biggest things. I always tell people my philosophy is always stay curious, and that's just not only in the small parts of your business, but the big part. If you have something you want to introduce that's new, maybe you have a new career, maybe you're trying to pivot, stay curious, try it. You'll never know what you want to do or love to do until you actually try something. I think for women, my biggest lesson is speak up. um I realized that the beginning of my career, even in the middle of my career, a lot of my issues were because I didn't speak up. I didn't speak up when I'm the expert. If somebody brings me as a publicist, I have over 10 years experience. And a lot of people think that they can do your job. So there have been times when I've stepped back or sat back and just let them keep going versus saying, hey, you know, this is a tried and true method. This won't work according to research, because I do research. I wake up every day and I see what's going on out there. I do the market research for the brands that I work with. So I think one is speaking up, demanding that respect, and absolutely knowing your worth, like absolutely knowing why you are a part of the team, what you deserve. And then also, I think the biggest lesson is execution. You can have all the plans, all the ideas that you want. Everyone's biggest fear is executing and actually letting go of whatever it is that they're working on, especially because of social media. People think it's supposed to look a certain way. And I tell people all the time, you either want a business or you want an aesthetic. And when you're ready to have a business, you're ready to execute. And executing meaning put things out there, and getting out there and getting the things done, and not just continuing to just plan because you have this vision. You never know what your audience is going to love until you put it out there. What is something fun and interesting about me that most people don't know? Instantly, coffee came to my mind, but I feel like if you follow me, you probably know that my love for coffee is absolutely real. But most people don't know that my dream job is to write for Hallmark or be on Hallmark. I love Christmas. I love Christmas with a passion. I celebrate Christmas in July. I love Hallmark. I'm a Hallmark girl through and through. And my dream is to actually write Christmas movies for Hallmark. Also act in some because I think I would make a really great Mrs. Claus. But my dream, my fun fact is that I love Christmas. I decorate. My Christmas pillow is still up. So yes, I think my fun fact is I literally am Mrs. Claus. So some objectives I have for my work this year and next year. One of the things is I really want to make sure people understand what public relations is. Um, I think that I talk about social media a lot because I think that's something we really lean into. But a lot of times when I've had brands come to me, whether that is through trying to hire me for retainer or also just with consulting, a lot of people don't understand what public relations is. They don't understand the difference between all the different terms, whether it's social media, marketing, advertising, public relations. So I'm hoping this year to do a lot more teaching of it. Because I can't promise I'm gonna stay in this field. I do have some things I really want to accomplish, but I feel tied and led to really teach about it because I want brands to have it. I've kind of went back and forth about like, is it my responsibility to do it? Maybe somebody else here in Nashville would come up and do public relations, even if I ever leave this field to pursue my own things. But at the moment, I'm still feeling very called. I used to teach public relation classes and website design and all of that, but I really want to hone in on public relations and then media relations, community engagement, and how important it is for Black-owned brands. So that is a big objective that I have, is making sure that they know what that is and they know how far they can go. I know, a lot of people talk about the local media, but there's so much more that we have to offer to even bigger publications and television shows. And I just want the world to see it. And I want the world to see it through joy and not just through struggle. I think a lot of people know how to tell their story only through struggle, and I want people to learn how to tell their brand's story through joy. And what does it look like? And then also, I think before I ever leave public relations, it's something I really want to tackle maybe next year is the importance that just because it's Black owned doesn't mean it's just for Black people. And I, coming from a girl who's worked in beauty industry and the fashion industry, a lot of times people say, I really want to buy that oil. I really want to buy that lotion, but is it for Black people? Because it says Black owned. And it's like, no. I want us to be able to treat Black brands the same way we treat Korean brands. We'll go to the store and buy a Korean mask with no thought about it that it was, Korean. Um, and then outside of that, I think my biggest thing is to give back more to the community. I used to be really big into um, community service, and I think sometimes I get caught into my day to day of all the work that I do. I was just a campaign manager last summer, and I really miss what it feels like to be actual boots on the ground. Being in the community, working in the community, there's so many needs that we have. So that's a big, big thing for me right now. A message I feel like I have for young ladies stepping into my line of work is kind of going back to what I said, like be curious, stand up for yourself, be bold, um, don't worry about how you're showing up to other people physically. I know that may sound crazy, but I think the older that I've gotten, the more I appreciate who I am, what I look like, and the way I show up. And I think it's really important for us all to show up as our unique selves because that makes room for everyone. One of my mentors, she always have this big jewelry and all of these, things. And I remember just being like, this is how you go to meetings. And she's like, yes, I show up in corporate spaces like this. I show up in meetings like this. And not to just draw attention to myself, but to be who I am. And I think that is so important. Is that, I've had people when I first started my locks, they were like, you're gonna go work like that? You're gonna take out your nose ring, or you're meeting with these, this nonprofit, are you going to do something to your hair? Are you going to make your hair really clean? Are you going to do this? Are you going to wear a blazer? Um, Show up as you. We need more women in the spaces who look like us, who's bold like us, who's loud like us. Um, and I think it's really, really important to know that, like, um, you don't have to change yourself to fit in, because I think for us, for Black women, we're so creative. Um, And that is what they desire, and that's what we bring with us all together. So show up as yourself, be your creative self, because that's what they're paying for. Be curious, be loud, live out loud is so important. um Also, I think for one of the biggest things is that know your work, know what you're doing. Go outside of, taking one or two workshops. Really study your work. Really study what's going on in the industry. If you want to be in public relations, think about it. There are journalists that's getting laid off left and right. What are you going to do if you don't have a journalist to contact? Know know your next steps. Know this industry, it's not black and white. So get to know the industry, take some classes, reach out to people, get a mentor, um, and just be you and have fun. I think if the biggest message is, if you're not having fun, don't do it. Period. I don't do it. That may sound harsh, but if you're not having fun, this work is tiring. There are times where you're putting out fires. There are times where you're waking up early. There's times you're going to sleep late. There's times that you're managing 4 or 5 different projects at a time. You are managing multiple attitudes, multiple people at a time. Have fun. And if you're not having fun, figure out why.